So I want us to do biology today under the topic called respiration. Yeah, so the first item here, we need to understand and also able to define the word respiration. Respiration. So this word is examinable. They can ask you to define the word respiration. So what is respiration? So say respiration. So is the release of energy from the food substances in a cell of living organism. So this is a definition for what? For respiration. So respiration, you can say the release of energy from the food substance in a living cell. Okay, good. So now, when that's to define respiration, this is a very simple definition for respiration. So it's a respiration, the release of energy from the food substance in the cell of a living organism. Then we need to understand that there are two types of respiration. So we have internal respiration, and also external respiration as well. So we have two types of respiration, which is internal and external respiration. So our focus for today will be on internal respiration. So the internal respiration, this one, it takes place inside, as you can hear from the word internal, which is inside, then external, outside. So internal respiration, it takes place inside the what? The cell of living organism. So this one, it takes place inside the cell of a living organism, inside the cell of a living organism. This one takes place outside the cell. Okay. So now, since we're saying that the two types of respiration, which is internal and external, and I said that my focus for today will be on what we call on the internal respiration. So you know that there are two types of internal respiration. There are two types of internal respiration. Okay, number one and number two here. So number one is what we call aerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration. Okay, and also number two, we have anaerobic respiration. So the two types of respiration, of internal respiration, which is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So I will start with this one, which is the aerobic respiration. So I said that respiration, the release of energy from the food substance in a cell of a living organism. So the two types of respiration, as I said, we have internal respiration and also external respiration. So internal respiration, it takes place inside the cell of a living organism. Then external, it takes place outside the cell of a living organism. So my focus for today will be on internal respiration. So I said that internal respiration, the two types of internal respiration, which is aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So this aerobic respiration is the release of energy. You can say release of energy. So release of energy in the foods. Release of energy in the presence of what? In the presence of oxygen. So which means this is the release of energy from the food substance in a living cell in the presence of oxygen, which means the oxygen is involved. So oxygen is involved. So I'll start with the aerobic respiration here. So aerobic respiration, the type of respiration or is the release of energy from the food substance in a living cell in the presence of oxygen, which means oxygen must be present. Oxygen must be present. So example. I will try to explain the word equation here. Since you know that the equation for photosynthesis is like this. Photosynthesis equation is like this. We have carbon dioxide plus water like this. Give us glucose, okay, plus oxygen. So this is I'm just trying to explain. So I'll be mixing a chemical and also education. So I know that this is carbon dioxide, this is water, then to give us what? Glucose plus oxygen. Then we have light energy here and also over chlorophyll, which means for this process to take place, which means light and chlorophyll must be present. So now, since we know the chemical or the weight equation for photosynthesis, so these two are reactants and these are the product. So now under respiration is the opposite for this one. So which means the reactant now for respiration is opposite. It's opposite. So the reactant now be glucose. Okay, glucose plus oxygen to form what? To form a carbon dioxide plus water and also plus energy here. Since we're saying that respiration, there is of energy from the food substance. This is what we call this food. Now talking about the food, which glucose, this is food. So from the food substance in the presence of oxygen, this oxygen, then to form what? To form energy, which is apart from energy, also have carbon dioxide and water. So under aerobic respiration, we're saying that it's a type of respiration where oxygen must be present for us to produce energy. So this carbon dioxide is produced and water, the energy is 2880 kilojoules of energy that's being produced. So 2880 kilojoules of energy is being produced. This is a huge amount of energy. So under aerobic respiration, so the release of energy from the food substance, this food, in the presence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water, and also huge amount of energy produced as well. So this one is under aerobic respiration. Then now I'll go to anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration is the release of anaerobic, the release of energy from the food substance in the absence of what? Absence of oxygen, which means oxygen must not be present. And the two types of anaerobic respiration. The first one is alcoholic. The next one is lactic. So under alcoholic fermentation, so we call it alcoholic fermentation. Fermentation. This is also fermentation. Okay. So under alcoholic fermentation, glucose, it will form what we call with the use of the enzyme called the zymase here, to form a carbon dioxide plus alcohol and some amount of energy, which is about 210 kilojoules. So which means under alcoholic fermentation is the release of energy in the absence of oxygen to form alcohol. Okay, to form alcohol. Apart from alcohol, carbon dioxide also is produced, and also some amount of energy, which is about 210 kilojoules. So don't forget that there are two types of anaerobic respiration, which is the alcoholic fermentation and also lactic fermentation. Okay. Then under alcoholic fermentation is the release of energy from the food substance in the absence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide and alcohol, and also small amount of energy, which is about 210 kilojoules. Then under this reaction, enzyme called zymase is used. Okay, hope it's very much clear on this part. Then now I'll go to the other part, which is lactic now. So lactic fermentation is also so I have glucose here. Glucose. The product here is lactic acid and some amount of energy, about 150 kilojoules of energy. So the only product produced here is what is lactic acid and small amount of energy. So this one take place where? In the muscle cell, specifically in the mitochondria. So this one take place in mitochondria in the body of an living organism altogether. So this one is very much clear. So I'm saying that this one take place in the cell of an organism, yes, or in the body of an organism. So don't forget this part, very important. So apart from that, we need to understand that under the same type of respiration, which is lactic, as I said, that this is the release of energy from the food substance in a living cell in the absence of what? Oxygen. So it produces lactic acid as the only product here, as you can see. Then the amount of energy released is very little, very small. As you can see, about 210 kilojoules, in fact. Yeah, so the way the equation is, as you can see, we have glucose, give us lactic acid here, then plus what? Plus 150 joules of energy. And as I said, that this process usually takes place in the muscle of animals during exercise. For example, like when someone is doing exercise, I'm touching exercise vision. So this is when this process takes place. So you need to understand why does it take place during exercise. So it's because the extra amount of energy which is required by the animal during exercise cannot be all generated by aerobic respiration, since there is a limited supply of oxygen. So this energy is therefore generated by lactic fermentation. But this reaction, again, don't take place. It helps when someone doing exercise. It's also very, very, very dangerous. It has got effect because the lactic acid which is being formed has got harmful effect. It causes fatigue. Apart from that, muscle cramp. Okay. Apart from that, it also causes fainting. So I'm saying that the energy which is being produced here, which lactic acid here, is very dangerous. It can cause fainting, fatigue, muscle cramp. So these are the effect of this type of respiration because it takes place in the body of an organism when someone is doing exercise. So hope it's very, very much clear. I've just tried to summarize this part. So I'll try to explain again from the beginning. I said that respiration, the release of energy from the food substance in a living cell. Then there are two types of respiration, which is which is internal and external. So internal and external. Now then talk about internal, is the type of respiration which takes place inside the living cell, while external is take place outside the living cell. Then we have two types of the internal respiration. So I said that my focus today will be on internal respiration. So this one, it takes place inside the body of an organism or inside the living cell. And the two types of internal respiration, which is aerobic and anaerobic. So aerobic, this one is the release of energy from the food substance in the absence of what? Absence of oxygen. Okay? For example, we have glucose plus oxygen. The product is carbon dioxide and water, and also a huge amount of energy, which is about 2,880 kilojoules. Then I'll go to anaerobic respiration. So this is the release of energy from the food substance in the absence of oxygen. And there are two types of anaerobic respiration. Number one is alcoholic. This one is take place in beer brewing. Alcoholic. Apart from alcoholic, also I've got what we call lactic. So under alcoholic, the product produces carbon dioxide and alcohol, and small amount of energy, about 210 kilojoules. Okay. Then under lactic fermentation, this one, the only product produces lactic acid, and also small amount of energy, about 150 kilojoules. So this lactic fermentation takes place in the body of an organism during exercise. But the same lactic acid produced, it has got some effect. It can cause fainting, fatigue, muscle cramp, etc. So this is just introduction. So apart from that, you also need to know the importance of energy that is being produced under respiration. So the energy is used for locomotion, for movement. Apart from that, the same energy is used for growth. Apart from growth in plants, is used for active transport and other metabolic reactions that take place in the living cell or in the body of an organism. Since I've mentioned about the metabolic reactions that take place in the cell of a living organism, so I have two types of metabolism. So in fact, the chemical reaction that take place inside the body of an organism is called metabolism. So metabolism. And the two types of metabolism we have anabolism, okay, and also catabolism. Okay. So anabolism means building up. Okay. Example of this one of photosynthesis. So anabolism means building up. Catabolism means breaking down. Example of this, we have respiration itself, respiration. Apart from respiration, also we have got digestion. This involves also breaking down. All these are examples of catabolism. And don't forget that respiration is part of characteristic of living thing, which comes from nutrition. An example like this respiration is the part of characteristic of living thing. Okay. Because we say that food, which is glucose plus oxygen, we get what? Carbon dioxide and water. So this product, which is a food here, it comes from nutrition or feeding. So in case if they ask you a question, where does this product come from? So this product, it comes from where? It comes from nutrition or from feeding. Then the type of characteristic of living thing here being mentioned here on this part here is called respiration. So they can ask you all those questions. So you just need to be very, very careful and also very, very to answer those questions. So if they ask you, where does this food substance or glucose here comes from which part of characteristic of living thing? So it comes from nutrition. Okay? Then again, this equation is under what type of which characteristic of living thing? It comes from respiration. So this topic is very, very, very important. So you need to go and see. Here I've just summarized it, but I'll give you time, you go through it, then I'll send some questions. Thank you very much.